All right, I promised you to talk about slipping and scoring, and I'm going to try to do this as quickly and as efficiently as I possibly can. So I'm going to go back. We had made that slip just briefly, or just a little bit earlier. Mine's still kind of softening up a little bit in here. I'll check back in a little bit. It really is just a simple blend of clay and water. I can't believe this says blend. Liquid blend of clay and water, used when joining two or more pieces together. So slip usually comes with score when we're talking about joining pieces of clay together. So to score something means to rough up the surface to encourage a small connection. So when I'm going to go ahead and do the slip, I first need slip, and I need some sort of tool to apply it. Thus, we're going to use is just a paintbrush. I could use my finger. I can make it really simplistic. For the tools for scoring, normally what I have is something like this with these teeth on here. Maybe you've even used like a needle tool in the past. I'm looking for mine right now and I can't seem to find it. It may look something like this, and you just scratch up the surface. But what I found is, I have a whole bunch of gift cards because I like using old gift cards that have kind of lost their life. And this is one that I just cut up. And I took a scissors and I just put a bunch of little gouges in there. And I'm going to use this to scratch up what I'm doing. So we're going to go through a really simple process. The first thing we're going to do, always when we do this, this are our steps in order. Order. Thank you everybody for forgiving a little bit of my quick-handedness. So this is actually the pinch pot that I made earlier. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that slip. Do you see how like kind of milky, smooth it's getting? It's getting a little bit better. What did I do with there's my paintbrush. So I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm probably going to get a couple chunks on there, but I'm putting this clay glue right on the surface I want to reattach to. So I'm going to do it on one side and I'm going to do it on the other. And this just softens the clay so that they stick together better. But if I just did it with slip, it would slide all the way around. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tool and wow, that really works very well. And I'm just scratching it up, roughing it up. And I'm going to do that with the first part. And I'm going to do this with the other part. Now this was a really quick tool. I could use some toothpicks, whatever I need to do to create these grooves. Now when I join them back together, now you don't have to cut your pinch pot in half, but I want you to show that when I join two pieces together, they can be just as strong. Like a bone, when it breaks, it usually never breaks in the same spot. So I gave you my 3 steps down here, and I kind of skipped the last one, but I'm doing it right now. I slip, I score, and now what I'm doing is I'm wiggling. I'm working these things back and forth. And how it was best explained to me is if I imagine scoring is like these fingers. And if I just put them together without pushing them together, they slide apart. But when I push them together and I wiggle them, they lock in and they will not come apart and they make a really strong union. So when I put these together, you can kind of see that seam, but now this is one piece of clay. And every time I add something, like maybe I want this to be a little foot, again, I'm going to go through the same process. I'm going to slip it. Here's my little trick. I'm going to slip it, and it's going to kiss the surface of the pot, and then I see exactly where I need to score it. So I score it. I score it. And then my last little piece down here at the bottom, if I can feel some resistance, when I put this on and I twist it back and forth and it starts to just not want to move and it's twisting up here rather than down here, then I know that it's really strong. Do you see that? I'm holding it right by this little piece I just put on and it's holding up all the way. Oh, it fell off. I got a little greedy. But again, I'm just going to put a little bit of slip on there. A little bit of slip. I'm going to score. And every time you join two pieces of clay together, this is what you need to do. If I get a little bit of squish, that's okay. I can let that dry. But every time I make an attachment, like I'm going to show you this little cup I made. This is actually from a flat sheet, but it's been slipped and scored together here, the bottom, and then when I attach this handle, this is on there now because it's been slipped and scored. So that's pretty much it. Every time I want to add something, I always got to make sure I slip here and slip the piece that I'm going to attach, score both, and then wiggle. If I can feel the resistance, that's what we want. Hey everybody, there was one thing that I forgot to talk about, and that is why I do it in that order. Some people will talk about, does it really matter if I slip, then I score, or can I score, then I slip? And here's why I slip and then I score. When I am joining two pieces of clay together, if they have a lot of water or a lot of liquid, it's like this slip and slide effect, that it goes back and forth and they don't really stick. I don't feel any of that resistance. Eventually I get a little bit, but they're still gonna slide across. So if I was to go ahead and score, I make all those wonderful little finger joints, those unions, to make a really strong connection. But then, I'm gonna grab my slip. Notice I keep this wrapped up each and every time. So I'm gonna take my rubber band off, or whatever container you're using. You could even use like a sour cream container, whatever you have lying around. I'm gonna add some slip, move this over to the side, and now I fill everything in. So it's smooth again. Now, they're gonna join together, but there's too much liquid and they just come right off. So what I can do, and that's why I don't slip, or that's why I don't score, then slip. So I slip first, then I score, and I remove enough that it'll actually stick together faster. You know, some people will think that if a little glue is good, a lot of glue is even better. With slip, it's almost the same thing. A little bit of slip goes a long way. So as you can see, I slipped them, scored them, and now when I put them together, there is going to be a little bit of a squish factor, but I'm pulling on those. And do you see how quick that connected really well? If I wanted to, I could hide that. But this is a really strong connection. And I can blend that back if I want to, but that's just a really quick rationale of why I do the slip, score, and the wiggle rather than the score, the slip, and the wiggle. So, thank you.